Eric Garner, if you don't know, was an African-American from Staten Island, New York. He was basically standing outside a convenience store on July 17th, 2014. So tomorrow will be 5 years. When police approached him, they said he was selling cigarettes, untaxed cigarettes. For that, apparently, they needed a crew of 5 to 6 police officers to bring this larger individual down. He screamed, "I can't breathe," 11 times as New York City police officer Daniel Pantaleo choked him to death. And the autopsy said that while Pantaleo was doing an illegal chokehold that was forbidden from being used for 2 decades in the NYPD. He was not allowed to use that chokehold. The other officer's weight on Garner's chest induced a life-ending asthma attack. So to this morning, we got the terrible, horrific, but not surprising news if you're a black person in this country. Tomorrow was supposed to be the 5-year statute of limitations for federal charges to be brought. And here we have the Justice Department will not bring federal charges against any police officers involved in the death of Eric Garner, 43-year-old black man whose recorded takedown in New York in 2014 helped coin a rallying cry for those concerned about law enforcement's treatment of minorities. 2 people familiar with the matter said. To be clear, this is Attorney General Bill Barr's decision not to charge. Let's show you some of what Eric Garner's mother and daughter had to say at the news conference today outside the department, I think the district attorney's office in Brooklyn, New York.
We have been on the forefront. We have followed it up. We had to go. We had to fight. This is not an easy fight, but we kept on pushing. And make no mistake about it, we're going to still push. You could push back, but we're pushing forward because this is not the end. And we're asking the commissioner to make the right decision. That Officer Pantaleo, and all the officers who was involved in my son's death that day need to be off the force. The streets of New York City is not safe with them walking around. 5 years ago, it was me. It was my family. Today or tomorrow, it could be your family. You are New York City residents. You're not infallible. You must remember that. But you know, I take it to God. I think he sits high and he looks low. We may not never know justice in the DOJ, but I think there will be justice. And we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep fighting. We're not going away, so you can forget that. You think it's swept under the rug? No, it's not going to be swept under the rug. Because I'm out here, you all know my face, and you're going to see it even more now. Because this is an outrage, an insult to injury. You killed my son, and you won't get away with it. I stood quietly by for 5 years. I'm not being quiet anymore. And I ask all the supporters to support me. Thank you.
And Eric Garner's, if you recall, his daughter Erica had protested for him on Tuesday and Thursday for years, protesting for her father. She died of a heart attack years ago. So the Garner family has been hit with just one after the other, devastating tragedy, and they have received no justice. And here is his other daughter today with a really, really infuriating but just response to Officer Pantaleo facing no charges at all.
I am very angry. I stand here in the spirit of my sister, who fought for justice until her dying day for my father, standing outside protesting. She called the CCRB to do this investigation, and they didn't do their job. We called the Department of Justice. They didn't do their job. So no, I'm going to stand outside and I'm going to scream it. Pantaleo needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. There is no waiting. There is no nothing. The statute of limitation is tomorrow. Eric died 7/17/14. We're 7/16/19. 5 years later and there's still no justice. So no, there won't be no calm. No, there won't be no peace. No justice, peace. I'm here for Alyssa, I'm here for Kaylee, and I'm here for EJ. They have to watch their grandfather be killed on TV every time the news comes on. They have to watch as we go through this, and we are emotional because we have to be strong for these children. So no, we will not rest. No, we will not be calm. De Blasio, what's up? When are you going to fire this officer? You have the evidence. You have the evidence. And more evidence than we ever knew got released in this trial. A lot of information that we didn't even know was released in the trial. So where's the justice? Don't apologize to me. Fire the officer. Don't give me your condolences. I heard that 5 years ago. We want justice and we want it today. By 5 o'clock, they should be letting us know something. Something. Because coming in here, bringing us here in a roundtable talk just to say, after you already released your decision that you apologize, your condolences, no. We've been quiet for way too long. My sister died fighting for justice. You won't kill me. You won't kill me. That's it.
I also want to show you the lawyer for the family, because he made a point today that the statute of limitations, they've been talking about a statute of limitations for a while, is not out. There is no statute of limitations for federal civil rights charges. So let me get you the lawyer.
You know, they were telling us that the statute of limitations run out tomorrow. But as I know the law book, there's no statute of limitations for murder. Am I right or wrong? There's no statute of limitations. And that was murder that they did to my son.
Well, just a minute. Attorney Jonathan Moore can address the legal part of the meeting.
I think the failure of 5 attorney generals and 3 U.S. attorneys in the Eastern District to bring a case for the death of Eric Garner is a shame. It's a national disgrace. And it's an issue of national importance. And everybody running for president should have to take a position on whether it's a just result in this case. All the Democrats, all the Republicans, they should have to take a position. Because this case is not dead. Under the federal civil rights laws, there is no statute of limitation for a conspiracy to violate somebody's civil rights that results in a death, or a deprivation of rights under color of law that results in death. 18 U.S.C. 241, 18 U.S.C. 242. Look it up. This case is not over. And the next president and the next attorney general will be presented with these same set of facts, and we hope that they do the right thing, because we will not rest until there's justice for Eric Garner and his family.
I am trying to get in contact with him to explain to me and you. And remember, for all 245 of you watching right now, I need you all, press that like button. The more people that press the thumbs up, the more people that will see this live stream. The corporate media is not going to be covering Eric Garner and this outrageous lack of justice. It's not shocking that there's no justice, but the lack of coverage only perpetuates the lack of action by prosecutors all over this country against white police officers that are murdering unarmed black men. In this case, somebody just standing on a street corner. What's amazing to me about this is the theory and the rationalization for why they're not charging this guy is this. The senior Justice Department official said that the chokehold lasted about 7 seconds. Not enough time in the minds of some prosecutors to establish that the officer struggling with Garner intended to cause him harm. The prosecutors decided that they could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what Pantaleo did wasn't a mistake or poor judgment that did not rise to the level of a conscious decision to choke Garner, the senior official said. So let me get this straight. They clock Daniel Pantaleo as choking Eric Garner for 7 seconds. I'm not sure if that's true. When I watched the video, it looked a lot more than 7 seconds. So they're saying that 7 seconds isn't long enough, while somebody during those seconds is screaming, "I cannot breathe." You cannot deduce whether this officer is intending to bring harm to this gentleman? Why did he need to do a chokehold in the first place? What was the threat of Eric Garner? Was the officer facing a threat that he had to choke him out? Why was there 5 to 6 police officers required to approach this unarmed man? Why are we losing sight of the fact that that was an illegal chokehold? That if you read the New York City Police Department's manual, has been outlawed for 2 decades. Would 9 seconds do the trick as opposed to 7 seconds? And let's be real. This is a disgrace on both ends. Eric Holder could have brought charges against Daniel Pantaleo. He was the Attorney General under Obama. Loretta Lynch could have brought charges against Daniel Pantaleo, Attorney General under Obama. Same one, by the way, Loretta Lynch, who was working with North Dakota police to basically brutalize and shoot Native Americans in the head while they were protesting a pipeline being rammed through their land. So America, this is how we protect people. Obviously, you don't expect Jeff Sessions was going to do anything, nor do you expect Bill Barr was going to do anything. It's obscene. Can you imagine for a second if it wasn't a cop, if it was not a cop, and it was just me strangling somebody for 7 seconds? You think I'd get the benefit of the doubt? Oh, we don't know if he had the intent to harm him. He might have just been defending himself against, actually on tape he confronted the guy, so I don't know. And also, I'm going to show you some of the video. I went to Brooklyn yesterday to cover a protest. If you don't have some Kleenex next to you or some tissues, Kleenex. If you don't have some tissues next to you, I'd recommend getting some, or don't watch. So, what did this guy think was going to happen if you're choking a very large man for 7 seconds? Again, I can't confirm it was 7 seconds, with 4 or 5 other police officers pressing him down on his chest. And more importantly, if you say, we don't have enough evidence to prove intent, okay, it's gross negligence. It's not following your training. It is reckless behavior as a police officer, and this officer should have been fired within several days once it was looked at. But in this country, we have an occupying force as the police. It's a militarized police, and I've seen it. And, some of you might be your little Blue Lives Matter people. I know some kids I went to high school with that are police officers. They seem like good guys. I'm sure not every police officer goes into work saying, which black guy can I kill today? But that's not how systematic racism works. It's not always conscious. Usually it's not conscious. But if you are trained, and they are trained, thank you, Jose, in the super chat, $2 in the super chat. This is a super chat. If you are trained to fear black men, if you are trained to feel you need backup to approach a overweight black guy on a corner, if you are trained to think they're up to no good, then you're going to make some really, really, really bad decisions that end up in murdering innocent people. It's a total crock of that Bill Barr and the Attorney General's office decided, well, we can't decipher with 7 seconds of choking him while he was chanting, I can't breathe. If somebody's screaming, I can't breathe, and you're a police officer, isn't it your responsibility to let up a little bit? Or to release and find another way? They had no evidence that he had a gun. He faced no threat to them. You saw the video. And frankly, I thought Mayor de Blasio's statement in response to this was weak sauce. De Blasio, with the 5th anniversary of the tragic death of Eric Garner less than 24 hours away, federal law enforcement agencies have just announced they will not pursue charges against Officer Pantaleo. Years ago, we put our faith in the federal government to act We won't make that mistake again. New York City is not the same city it was 5 years ago. We are a different city, and we must act like it's a different city. Moving forward, we will not wait for the federal government to commence our own disciplinary proceedings. Reforms over the last 5 years have improved relations between our police, blah, 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 blah. I'm not reading the rest. Bottom line, Bill, you have the federal response or lack of response. So I don't exactly know why you're making a statement about this. Either fire this police officer and make an example, fire him without him having a pension, or go back to being the fake progressive. Can't be both. It's within Bill de Blasio, the New York City mayor's power to fire this police officer. Why he's waited so long, he could only tell you. Yes, he will have the full force of the New York Police Department and their union and all the Blue Lives Matter people going after him if he fires this police officer. But leadership is about in leadership, most of the right things are the hardest things. The right things are never the easy things in politics. It takes courage. And this is not just about New York City. You can make a decision that sets an example for the rest of this country. If the federal authorities and the grand jury is not going to do the common sense thing that was right in front of their face, then you are a last resort.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.